G'day everybody, it's Danny from Turunga and welcome to my book den. Today I will be reviewing the book Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman, which is kind of like a sequel book set right after season 1 of Heartstopper. If you've seen that show on Netflix, a beautiful show about coming of age and finding yourselves and finding each other. Let's get started. Heartstopper is one of my most favorite coming-of-age TV series dramas that I've watched in the last year. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely head over to Netflix and check it out. It is a beautiful story about two guys who come together and they let this beautiful relationship grow. And they kind of come from two different worlds, where Nick Nelson, who's kind of like this star rugby player at the school, and you've got Charlie Spring, who's kind of a little bit more artistic, a little bit more insecure, and somehow they find each other and they connect each other really well. This book, Nick and Charlie, is a book set, I think, after volume 3 of the webcomics, but it also is set 2 years after their relationship kind of blossoms at school. And in this book, Nick Nelson is about to graduate, he's about to head off to university, and he is super excited. He just can't wait to get out of the town and explore the world and start his new educational career. Whereas Charlie is just about to begin his 13th year, I think his final year of high school, and as a result, the relationship is put under pressure. Nick is excited about leaving. Charlie has to stay behind to complete his last year of school. The characters are coming to terms with what it's like to potentially have a long-distance relationship. How can they make a relationship work when they're not together all the time? And this book really sparks that conversation and kind of shines a light on long-term relationships, especially at the age that the two main characters are in the novel. And that's one theme that's really well explored in the book. One thing that I will definitely say about the webcomics and the TV series is how authentic the relationship is between Nick and Charlie. You get this really great sense of authenticity about them being true to themselves, but also being really true to each other. And I really like how Alice Oseman has really shone a really great positive spotlight on this sort of relationship. And it's good to see a lot more of these sorts of relationships in TV shows and in books. And the fact that they're explored through webcomics as well, just, you know, is a great model for other people who might be going through similar relationships. I definitely think these books are relatable. This book in particular is a little bit more grounded than, say, the TV series. The TV series is kind of, it goes along and you do experience the highs and the lows, but here definitely feels really raw, gritty, and real, and that they actually struggle to communicate with each other. And that is such a different angle to kind of explore in a novel, especially after coming off such a great season from the show. I like how this book really shows both perspectives of the characters. So each chapter kind of alternates between the mind of Charlie Spring and the mind of Nick. So you really get to tap into their thoughts, their insecurities, as well as how they approach different situations. Now, if you're familiar with the show, there are these two other characters, Tao and Elle, and Tao is like Charlie Spring's best friend, and they go through some rocky patches in the book. And so Charlie Spring often sees Elle and Tao's relationship as a model relationship. And it's really made me think about the way we approach situations and relationships in real life. Like, you know, I look at how my parents dealt with things and, you know, they divorced, and how did I feel about, you know, their separation, and then going through the same sort of emotions. Like, we approach situations based on what we see in our day-to-day lives, who we live, our family members, how they respond to things, how they solve problems, and that's how we kind of formulate our own judgments and thoughts. And I think that's an interesting perspective that is shown in this book. We see how Nick sees the situation, and we see how Charlie sees the situation, and how those kind of situations cross over or conflict with each other, creating for some interesting tensions. Seeing how Elle and Tao kind of navigate the rocky parts of their relationship kind of makes Charlie question a lot of his insecurities. And Charlie's a really insecure character. There's a lot of negative thoughts that he kind of goes through. He always blames himself or takes the responsibility of the blame. And I feel like I connect with Charlie Spring the most, because I feel like Charlie Spring is kind of like me in a lot of ways. I feel insecure, sometimes I overanalyze situations and social situations when really we should take a step back and look at it from the outside. So that's one criticism that I have. I wish that the author kind of allowed us to see maybe the situation from Charlie's parents' point of view, because they weren't quite approving in this book, or from Nick's mum's point of view and seeing the relationship from outside. And I like to describe it kind of like a fish tank, where Nick and Charlie, the main characters, they're swimming in this fish tank, being in their world, and we, the readers, kind of look into that fish tank and kind of get invited into their lives. This, in comparison to the TV show, I feel like there's a really strong connection. You definitely see Nick and Charlie on the TV show in this novella, but I feel like this feels a little bit more grounded. I feel like this is something where they've kind of not only shown you the positives of their relationship, but really thrown you into the negatives of the relationship and really made them feel like, you know what, this relationship might not last if they make the wrong choices. And the issues in this book are super relatable. They're things that happen to all of us. We send text messages, and I think the introduction of technology in a lot of these modern stories is always intriguing to me. The fact that I'm still reading something that's printed on like recycled paper, and then seeing, text messages from Nick and Charlie and how they're kind of conveying their thoughts and feelings in such different ways is something that amazes me, and probably something to talk about for another video. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. I like how it kind of supplements the TV show and the webcomic series. It gives you that extra little bit of narrative that you kind of crave for if you've kind of seen the TV show and you just want that little bit of extra story to kind of get you through to the next season. I just think that this book just accentuates the authenticity of modern relationships really well. Obviously, there's flaws, and I like how Alice Oseman does go into the flaws and really explores them so deeply and so well. I don't know if there was another novella after this, and I think there is one that's coming up where I think they go and spend Christmas together. I am all for reading it. With its deep, honest look at modern LGBTQ relationships, I give Nick and Charlie 3 tea bags out of 4. I definitely recommend it, and it's definitely a great read. I even read it on a trip down the south coast, and I read the other half on the way back. So easy, so engaging, and it's just something that really fills in that gap, especially if you're a fan of the webcomics and the TV show. So definitely worth checking out. So, have you seen Heartstopper? What do you think of Heartstopper? And what do you think of Nick and Charlie as a couple? Please let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to start a conversation with you, and this channel is all about sharing stories. Thank you once again for joining me. Please consider giving me a like and subscribe and sharing this video with all of your friends. I would really appreciate it. And see you next time for another review. Goodbye.